Good morning everyone, today we're checking out a brand new video from Popcraft Studios. So he will be taking characters from the cartoon show Steven Universe and turning them into dragons. Now let's hop in and see who gets the draconic transformation today.
Last year I watched a ton of Steven Universe with the intention of making a full video around it. But once I started trying to come up with an idea, I realized I didn't really have anything that I wanted to turn the characters into. I circled back to the concept recently and thought, I could turn the characters into SCPs. That's kind of my channel default nowadays, but I've done a lot of that lately, and today is the last day you can get Dresden Oakland's SCP handbook on Amazon, so I don't really need to be doing more of a marketing push on that right now. So
yeah, by the time y'all are seeing this video, it's been over for about 2 weeks or so sorry, hope you got it when you could.
Well, I thought, what if I go with my old channel default of turning characters into dragons? I haven't done a full dragons video in 2026 yet, so it seemed like a good enough idea to go with. Let's get into it, shall we? Let's go.
Hit like if you want. Subscribe if you feel like it. By the way, enjoy the show.
The reawakening of mystic or legendary dragons has become much more common in my world in the last few years, so I should not have been surprised to see more arising. And yet, seeing the Rose Shieldwing and its small flock of allies completely caught me off guard. Thankfully, they were not dangerous beasts, so I needed to be on guard again.
I'm not sure if he's gonna make this, Steven before the end of the series, or as he is in future. I'm only saying that, and because while he does have both models up as reference, I guess it really all depends on the lore. He did only say a small HUD, so it is most likely it's just going to be Steven, Pearl, Garnet, and Amethyst.
And they even had a human ally who could elaborate to me, at least partially, how they'd arisen. The crystal-winged dragons are creatures whose tales were told of in many lores and religions of my world. Some say they came from beyond the stars, some say they came from within the core of the earth, but all tales tell of a great war that was conducted between the core army of these dragons and rebelling crystal wings who fought alongside humanity to protect our world. Those who say they come from outer space claim that their kind is likely to return someday to try and claim our world once more, and that will be marked by the return of the rebelling crystal wings to mount a defense. I certainly hope the appearance of the Rose Shieldwing is not...
Okay, yeah, that's not Greg. That's the Fry guy. I don't remember his name. Ronald or something? No, it wasn't Ronald. It was... I don't remember him, but you know who I'm talking about. He had dreads.
Not a sign of more coming war, as I'm dealing with more than enough war as it is at the moment, but in the least, the Shieldwing's flock has proven to be comprised of formidable combatants who could surely help my world if new foes did arise. The Rose Shieldwing himself is an interesting case among these dragons. Upon investigation, I found he was residing in a field next to the home of a bard, who, as it turns out, had awakened the creature and was treating the dragon as though it were his son. The man's name is Gregory Universe, and he isn't...
I was just about to say, of course Greg would be some kind of bard. It is a little strange, though. Well, I guess more so sad that there won't be any... rose quartz, but we still got Steven, so good enough.
Odd but endearing musician who said he'd had a dream in which an angelic voice had spoken to him and compelled him to dig under the mountains near his home in search of a buried enchanted gem of rose quartz. This concerned me at first, as the last time someone told me a tale of a voice in their dreams compelling them to seek out a buried oddity, it had not turned out well for them. But Gregory did in fact find what he was seeking. His reward for uncovering this gem was not an acquaintance with the source of the voice, or at least not exactly. Instead, the rose quartz gem, when brought into the light of day, began to glow, and manifesting out from it came the physical form of a dragon that we now call the Rose Shieldwing. The dragon immediately showed gratitude for Gregory, and Gregory for the dragon, as Gregory had always wanted a child, but had lost the love of his life many years ago, before they could conceive. He claimed it felt as though somehow this...
I actually do kind of like the mix in the lore that he is doing. He's changing it just enough to where you can still tell the story, but it fits the draconic fantasy world.
This was a gift to him from his late wife, though he knew that made little sense. What's more, after a few weeks of Gregory looking after and becoming quite close with this playful and intelligent dragon, more crystal wings, some recognizable from tales of yore, awoke and found Gregory. While the dragons do have differing demeanors and weapons of choice, they all show clear signs of being protective towards humans. More powerful,
That is
benevolent
true.
dragons appearing in my world is always something worth being grateful for, even if there is a chance it is foretelling of a coming threat. Now, Stephen here is actually the last of the 4 drawings that I did, but I
Oh,
wanted to put him first because it fit best with the lore to show him first. And when I got
true.
the idea to give all of these dragons crystal wings, I got super excited because my drawing formula for doing crystals is very similar to my formula for drawing ice, and as people who watch my work a lot know, I really love working ice elements into creature designs,
You
so I
do
knew
really
having
like
crystal
it.
wings was going to be really cool. I do like how Stephen's shield rose wings turn out in this, but they're not quite as cool as some of the ones coming up, because I was a little bit more.
One thing I actually did notice with them is that if you look right here, well, they're technically not connected to him. So, by all accounts, unless they all connected eventually, he is not classed as a dragon right now, but as a drake. But I could assume he could still fly with them, considering that they all still have wings, even if there is no visible connection between his body and the wings.
Set on a rounded sort of shape so that his wings were like a split version of his shield. Whereas with the other ones, I could be a little bit more funky with the shape of the wings and just do what looks best for my art style. I also
Well, no, you
really
did
love in this
forgot it.
episode, I didn't necessarily expect it, how all of the dragons turn out looking very nice and distinct while still having some unifying design features. And obviously that was made easier because the characters I was pulling from had a really nice diverse range of proportions and colors. So it was easy to make the
Yeah.
dragons the same. So let's take a look at the finished result, then move on to my favorite of the episode.
I mean, also, you could just show a silhouette of any of the crystal gems and people would be able to guess who it is almost immediately.
The Rose Shield Wings flock
Oh,
currently consists
amethyst.
of 4 crystal
Okay.
wings. The second is called an amethyst twintail. The name can
Twin
at
tail,
times
I
seem to
like.
make little sense, as these dragons can actually choose to spawn more tails on a whim when necessary for battle, as all these dragons are at least partially shapeshifters, but most commonly these dragons are seen with 2 tails. As suggested, it is common for these tails to be used as their primary form of assault and defense against foes, but they will
Making it
also
a
often
whip.
fly towards their foes at rapid speed, then curl into a ball to slam their full body weight into an enemy like a hurtling crystalline boulder.
She
I
does like to
suppose
do
you
the
could call
spin
these
dash.
creatures wyverns, as their crystal wings tend to hover near their arms, like wings spawning from the arms of a wyvern. Some tales tell that this specific breed of dragon was actually being mass-produced by the
Okay, so it looks like technically all of these crystal dragons would actually be more in the crystal drake classification. And considering that many of the wings either appeal, like he said, almost wyvern style with Amethyst, or in a regular draconic sense with Steven. So I guess you could actually call them the crystal drakes then. But I guess that's probably not as catchy as a crystal dragon.
enemy crystal wing forces when they were attempting to conquer the
Have I said crystal enough?
Earth. You see, as was the case with the Rose Shield Wing, all these crystal wings spawn their physical forms from various types of enchanted crystals and gems. They don't age as common creatures and beings do, and when they are slain, unless their gem is shattered, it is said that they can always regenerate, sometimes
Just
in
take some
slightly
time.
altered forms. They can also lay dormant for decades or even centuries, hence the possibility that the Amethyst Twintail, who I've now seen in the modern day, is in fact the one told of in the lore of the rebelling Twintail. It is said that one particularly formidable Amethyst Twintail turned against her creators and fought for humanity. It is also said she had a
Amethyst,
penchant
yep.
for eating copious amounts of food, as is the case with the one that has recently arisen, despite the fact that crystal wings do not actually need to eat, though they
She does it
clearly
for
still
fun.
can enjoy the experience of consuming food. Of this flock, the twintail is the most aggressive, but so far has mostly shown to be playfully aggressive, not making her dangerous to any of the humans around her. Plus, while she may be quickest
It's
to
all
aggression,
true.
this dragon is also often found spending the day laying about, and slumbering through the night late into the morning and even into the afternoon.
I actually kind of like what he's done for the hair, because Amethyst, as you can see by that image over there, see, has big hair. Oh, so what he's done is kind of made more of a like a smoky trail or something like that. Hmm.
Which is another odd occurrence,
Actually, now that raises the question: do any of these dragons have a breath attack?
as I'm not sure these dragons actually need to sleep. Regardless of oddities in behavior, this is a creature I would confidently fight alongside, knowing it would surely help me in protecting whomever it was that I was seeking to aid in a given battle. Now, this one is definitely my favorite one from this episode. I'm pretty happy with all of the dragons in this, but I think a bunch of things that I just generally like in my art compound really nicely in this piece. I really like the pose of it. I think
like
the
it.
crystal wings turn out nicest on this one of all the ones in the episode. Obviously, I'm a huge fan of wyverns. They're my favorite type of dragon. And the crocodilian sort of face on this one I think turned out really nicely. It definitely makes her look a little bit more menacing than the other dragons in this episode, but I would say the menacing factor kind of translates to...
I mean, Amethyst is fighting style. Wow, that's actually a little difficult to say. Her fighting style in the show is pretty much aggressive, aggressive, aggressive. She is like the strike first, ask questions later type of combatant. Meanwhile, Garnet is the one that would subdue an opponent, but not kill. Like, she would want to end it quickly. And you just, alright, that's over with. Now, can you answer these questions? And Pearl probably would want to, make it like an elegant dance, because that's her whole motif.
being the coolest looking one of the group, and I would say that Amethyst, of the group of main characters, is the coolest one. So I hope you all like this one as much as I do. Let's take a look at how it turned out.
Again, it's not bad. I actually like how in this one you can actually see the gem in her chest
Well,
as well.
folks, pour one out for Drezzy Boy's SCP Handbook, coming off Amazon in the next 24 hours, up on Blurb for just one more week, but also start celebrating because Vasilia and good old Benny Shop here finally got our wish to have a coloring book full of mech armors and fantasy armors that we done made.
Hell yeah.
Yes, so I am curious, Benjamin. Which is there more of? Are there more mech armors of your making, or suits of my own creation? I don't know, it seems pretty even to me, not that I counted to nothing, but, it also seems that Pop just threw in some other random stuff that's sort of tangentially related, like transforming robots that is definitely legally distinct from Transformers, and even some fantasy warrior type folks from neither of our worlds. But hey, at least we got a book that's mostly yours and my work in it. Yes, but also wait, why are you in center of front cover when I am on the back and off to the side,
Oh,
Hey, that
damn.
ain't a question for me, you can ask Popcross that. Honestly, Vasilia, because Benny's a little bit more popular than you. No offense.
Ooh.
What? Why is Benjamin more popular than me? Maybe because I don't spend...
I mean, in all honesty, Benny Sharp is almost the mascot of the channel. Oop, wrong button. But yeah, Benny Sharp it pretty much is the face of the Popcross channel. Well, it would be Popcross himself, but it's Benny. He's literally the character. Like, as far as I can tell, he was the first character ever created for the channel, was the first ever storyteller for the channel. He was literally the creator of the Benny Banter episodes. So, yeah, all in all, Benny Sharp is the mascot of the Popcross Studios.
And so much of my screen time lusting over no Space Catman. I am over Buster Terminex. And the more you say that, the less believable it is. Anyway, folks, the Armor coloring book is out now. Grab it fast, get to coloring, have a blast. Now back to the dragons. This is not the last you will hear from me on this matter, Popcross. Now, the next dragon, in a way, could actually be considered to be two dragons, but is most commonly seen in one form. Crystal Wings...
Okay, now I'm actually curious on how he's going to do this, because like he said, Garnet is a fusion of Ruby and Sapphire. So, what's going to be done in the lore for that?
Have a unique ability beyond their titular wings and gem-projected bodies. They can also fuse forms, 2 at a time or sometimes even more, to become more powerful dragons with combined and enhanced abilities. The Fused Garnet Gauntlet is a fusion of a Sapphire Cycloptagon and a Ruby Rider. As a fusion, her resting form is larger than that of other dragons in her flock. She also has an ability not possessed by either of her individual forms that make her up, in that she can form crystal gauntlets and fire them from her fists, seeking out prey or targets as she sees fit. When
Okay,
not
there you go.
projecting the fists off herself, as you might expect, they are incredibly useful in melee combat, and with them as an asset, I'd feel confident saying this dragon is the most formidable fighter of her small flock. Could likely hold her own against even the toughest of crystal wings told of in the old tales. This dragon may
Like
be
what, the
impulsive at
diamonds?
times, but generally seems to be the most calm and composed of the Shieldwing's flock. This may partially be due to a legendary ability of the Sapphire Cycloptagons, an ability that I've yet to see clear proof of this dragon possessing, though I am inclined to believe she does hold it. That is a
Future
sort
sight,
of
of
future
course.
sight. These creatures are able to passively calculate outcomes based on multiple factors observed by their conscious and subconscious mind to have a clear understanding of the most likely outcomes to occur next or in the future. This is a massive advantage in combat, as they will often know exactly where their opponent's next strike is set to land, and provide them with an opportunity to block or counter it more easily. This future sight may be native to the Sapphire Cycloptagons, but if
Actually, if that's the case, y'all remember way back in like the nearing the end of the first season when Jasper, Peridot, and Lapis returned and were trying to take in Steven and the Crystal Gems and all that? Why didn't Garnet use the future sight against Jasper and the destabilization weapon? And that honestly could have saved the whole fight. I mean, I know it was, for plot and story and all of that, but people are going to ask questions like that.
the fused garnet
And I hope I'm
gauntlet
not the
does
only
possess
one.
it, it may be enhanced even further, thanks to the elevated power of the fused form. Now this was the first drawing I did, and I thought it was going to be my favorite, though I do like the Amethyst one most, as Garnet, of the characters I'm working with today, is my favorite character from the show, so obviously I was going to be inclined to put a little bit
She
more
is damn
into
good.
it. Although my actual favorite character from the whole show is Peridot, who I'm not working with today. And when I started working
Same.
on this one,
Love
in
Peridot.
fact, when I'd already started drawing it, I wasn't 100% sure how I was going to translate Garnet's kind of signature big, blocky black hair into a dragon form. I was pretty sure I wasn't going to give the dragon actual hair, even though I sometimes do that, but as soon as I got to forming the head, it kind of clicked in to do a sort of Triceratops crest over the back of the head. And I
Yeah,
thought, oh,
that's
that
actually a
is
pretty good
a
idea.
perfect translation of that sort of blocky black shape into dragon
done
type
well.
design elements. And while I do really like how this one turns out, I think there's two things that could have significantly improved it. One is the pose of the gauntlet that's raised above her head. It being in front of the crystal wings that are the same color and texture means that area kind of devours itself a little bit and there's not enough separation between the foreground and background elements. So
Oh,
a different
yeah.
pose probably could have helped that in some way, or maybe just upping the
A pose I would have done is probably something more akin to like that pose you have there in the reference. Like maybe have her fist down by her side and ready to like launch forward and swing or something. And I don't know. I have an idea. I don't know how to describe it.
color contrast between the front and background stuff. But also, I think because Garnet is supposed to be the tallest and biggest of these characters, having her body break frame a little bit would have helped sell that more. When a creature's
definitely.
body isn't entirely shown within a piece, that gives a little bit of a psychological trick to people, as if the creature is so big it couldn't be captured in one image. Still, again, very happy with this one, and I
That's
hope
a pretty
you all
good
like how it
idea.
turned out too.
Alright, so that means the last one must be Pearl. Probably gonna be a
The last dragon
sleek
currently
dragon.
in the Rose Shieldwing's flock is easily the most elegant of the group. The Pearl Speartail is a
Called
very
it.
lean bird-like dragon, whose wings are much smoother, and whose crystals appear more like rounded pearls, as her name suggests, than jagged gems such as the other dragons have. As their name also suggests, these creatures are commonly shown to
Okay, now with this one could definitely be called at least a dragon, as long as at least these parts here are solid and flesh and all the pearls and all that.
have a
So
glowing
let's see.
spear-like blade at the ends of their tails. Their grace with these as they fight is said to be magnificent and balletic, executed with a dancer's finesse. When the other dragons of this flock roughhouse or act recklessly, the Speartail is quick to try and get them back in line, sometimes seeming unnecessarily uptight, but well-intentioned. The one that has arisen in the modern day does seem to have a bit of an anxious energy about her, though.
Oh,
These
yeah,
crystal wings
completely.
all have somewhat human-like mannerisms to them, but this one carries herself, I'm not sure, almost like a
Hmm.
person who's desperately clinging to a deep, uncomfortable secret. As I say that, I realize
Yeah.
it makes little sense. It may very well be me.
Also, yeah, this pearl is apparently the only one of the crystal winged dragons that can actually be called a dragon, as it at least does have the limbs needed for wings. So you got two drakes, a wyvern, and a dragon.
Projecting something or seeing something that isn't there. Anyhow, I now find myself torn between not wanting any new conflict with invading Crystal Wings to occur, and also being eagerly curious to see what more of these creatures look and act like, even simply wanting to see what fusions of the current flock may be like. Still, my skills are needed outside my
Hmm.
world these days, with the Archon demons still ravaging them.
So does that mean that if we get a sequel, we would see like Lapis, there's Jasper, Peridot, Malachite, and Opal, and Sugilite, or even Alexandrite?
Multiverse, but I will be sure to check back in on this odd new flock to see if any new members find it in the near future.
I guess we'll just have to see.
Now, with this one, I'm still quite happy with how it turned out, but I think something that lets this one down, which was an asset in the other drawings, is the wings. Because with this one, partway through the drawing, I realized I couldn't really make the wings jagged, rocky-like forms because pearls aren't like that. They're very smooth and rounded. And I think the way I went about executing
Actually, naturally formed pearls that have been found, in clams and all that, aren't as perfectly smooth and rounded as the artificial ones that are most commonly used in jewelry. A natural pearl, does still have the shine to it and all, but it's almost a little malformed or deformed because, it's nature. Nothing is perfect in nature.
the wings for the rounded pearl kind of ones doesn't work as nicely as it did for the jagged rocky ones in the previous drawings. I also think because pearls are kind of whitish and sort of end up taking on the color of what's around them and what they're reflecting, that meant that the pearl wings were kind of purplish like the background is, so that makes them, they don't disappear into the background, but they
Don't
they
really
blend a
stand
little
out.
bit more into the background than the rest of the body, which is all a teal sort of green and really stands out because it's a contrasting color with the background. So it almost feels like even though the wings are there, there's a little bit too much empty space because they partially fade into the background. Again, with that said,
True.
I do still really like this one, and I feel like it fits with the character as the other drawings I'll do from this. Pearl being a bird-like dragon came to me almost immediately because she's got the longer, more
Dude, everyone's been making that joke about Pearl since literally this first season. And they even called her, at one point, someone made a joke saying, Pearl is like a pedikey when it comes to talk of Rose. And then someone actually drew an image of Pearl, straight face and normal. Then she turns her head like Rose, and the hair stands up just like a parakeet feather.
triangular nose, and I think the pose I used and the lean sort of look does help reflect the elegant, prim and proper kind of vibe of the character. So overall, while this is my least favorite of the four from this episode, I'm still pretty happy with it. I think the wings could have just, used a little bit of a different touch. Anyway, let's take a look at the last dragon of this episode.
Oh, we are gonna get one more. Oh, okay. So this isn't a 3-piece or 4-piece, but a rare 5-piece.
This old
Nope, I was
Ruby
mistaken.
Rider, she's Ruby riding alone.
Guess I
Now
could have
the
just gone
dirt
here
and the
and looked at
dust
that.
and the
But, whoops.
danger is my new home. If you enjoyed this, I've got tons more episodes
I'll
of
get it
turning
right.
various things into dragons
Meh.
that you might enjoy, and I've worked with lots of other famous cartoon series and movies. Go poking around the channel if you enjoyed this. There's plenty of other stuff I've made that you'll enjoy as well. But
That
besides that,
is a
that's all
lot.
for today, except of course for ending this video on some kind of
Positive
positive or
or
inspiring
inspiring note.
And the thought I want to leave people with today, I guess, is a little bit more a piece of advice that I've personally come to from having been a YouTuber for 8 years or so. And that is what I personally think is the best way to respond if someone insults insults you over the internet. And that is the idea that there is only one way to win that interaction, and that
You
is
walk
by
away?
not replying at all.
Exactly,
If you reply,
yeah.
no matter how good of a comeback you come up with, you're essentially communicating that they have made at least a decent enough point that you need to defend yourself. Whereas if you don't say anything, you're basically acknowledging that they might as well have called you a big dumb purple elephant named Frank. You're basically saying what they've said is such nonsense.
Weirdly enough, yeah, I was kind of going through sort of Stupid's videos. It was about them binging all of Rick and Morty. And at the one episode to where Rick just stopped interacting with all the cartoonist villains that kept trying to attack him. You know, the same episode to where Jerry pretty much became a Green Lantern Power Ranger hybrid. And they actually said, and if you don't reply to the trolls, eventually they'll start fighting each other. And that's pretty much what you need to do. If someone insults you on the internet, just turn away. Hey, they literally are not worth your time, energy, or effort. Anyway, that's going to be the end of today's video, and I hope you all enjoyed this. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe for more. Link to the original will be in the description below, and I'll see all of you next time when we flick it back on. Until then, this is Fox, signing out. Peace.